Greetings, one and all, and welcome to episode number 29 of Thoughts and Hunches, making money in bunches and sucker punches. Your boy Stoney is back for the 29th time, welcoming all of his fellow lowlifes, hoodlums, scumbags, hustlers, fienders, degenerates. It's March Madness, baby. This is it, man. This is the time of the year where that if you don't like this time of year, then you don't know what the hell you're doing, right? This is the best time of year, period. Right? You got March Madness coming in, springtime, spring is in the air, and you got baseball 2 weeks away. This is awesome. So we've only got a couple videos left until our season ends with the national championship. So we've got this one today, which is the second round. Then we'll drop another one either probably Wednesday to get you ready for the weekend, maybe Thursday to get you ready for the weekend, the Sweet 16. And then on next Sunday morning, we'll give you another one for the Final 8. And then two more, one for the Final 4 and the National Championship. That's it. So we're down to our last 5 episodes, so let's enjoy it. Let's get paid, and let's continue to roll. The first round, we wound up going 17, 14, and 1, which isn't terrible. You know, it makes money. It's not bad. We had some bad beats. We did have a tie. It was just kind of crazy. I mean, it was a wild round 1 with plenty of upsets. Like I said in my last video, if you're watching this video and worried about your bracket, forget about it. Throw the bracket away, because I don't care about anyone's bracket. I don't care about my bracket, even though my bracket's looking pretty good right now. This is about each individual game, each individual matchup against the number. We don't care who wins the game. I only care about who covers the number. So that's what we're going for. So 17, 14, and 1. Overall, we're 316, 235, and 7. That's good for 57.35%. Solid, top-notch, made money for you all year. In the Ncaa basketball, 157, 107, and 4. That's good for 59.47. We're still kind of holding out hope for 60%, but it's starting to look more like a long shot right now. But we'll get as close to 60 as we can by the end of the year, just in a couple weeks. So anyway, off we go. Here we go. Round 2. The round of 32 begins today, begins in a little over an hour. So here are your picks. Starting out, again, I'm not going by region. I'm going by time, what time the games start, and by seed number, not ranking number. So we're going to start out with Illinois versus Loyola Chicago. Illinois, the number 1 seed. Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers, the number 8 seed. The Ramblers got in by knocking off Georgia Tech, and they did so really well. Lucas Williamson is just leading a charge right now for the Ramblers, and the Ramblers look really good, and a lot of people could be taking this game with Loyola, maybe possibly looking at an upset. It's a battle. It's an in-state battle for a shot to get to the Sweet 16. Two schools from the same state, but Loyola Chicago is going to have their hands full. You got Ayo Dosunmu, right? Kofi Cockburn, right? Frazier. The amount of talent on the Illinois side is just absolutely ridiculous right now. They handled Drexel pretty well in round 1. They're 7-point chalk today. We're going to take the Fighting Illini and watch them dance and send Sister Jean to an early end of the season, let's say. So, sorry, Sister Jean, and all you nun lovers and all you Loyola Ramblers backers, but your season ends today as Illinois wins fairly easily. Next up, another top seed. We've got number 1 seeded Baylor as 6.5-point chalk against 9th seeded Wisconsin. Wisconsin knocked off Carolina and did it in really impressive fashion. Now, Carolina, as I've been saying all season long, is overseeded. They're overrated just because they're North Carolina and they come from the ACC and blah, blah, blah. Nope, sorry, right? Wisconsin did it impressively, but Carolina wasn't that good, right? Brad Davison, 29 points for Wisconsin. They only turned the ball over 7 times. And that's just stupid ridiculous. They're going to have to do something similar today against top-seeded Baylor, because Baylor's ball hawking defense is going to be all over them from the get-go. Jared Butler, candidate for National Player of the Year, led Baylor to an easy win over Hartford in the first round, and he's going to do it again today. Baylor covers the 6.5, and they beat Wisconsin, who really isn't, who kind of stumbled a lot from February into early March, but then they got a little bit hot right near the end and into conference tournament play. They started playing a lot better, but Wisconsin's overmatched here. Baylor's clearly the better team, and Baylor advances easily. Sorry about that. Next up, we've got West Virginia, third-seeded Mountaineers versus the 11th-seeded Orangemen from Syracuse. Yes, I still call them the Orangemen. Syracuse got in by knocking off San Diego State and beat my lock of the day on Friday, which was San Diego State. And Syracuse did it pretty easily. They beat the hell out of a really good San Diego State team. Buddy Boeheim, Jim Boeheim's son, was just, ridiculous. He lit him up for 30 points, and Syracuse won easily. I mean, they beat down a team that only had 6 losses in the last 2 years combined. So, a lot of props to Syracuse for being a team that nobody thought deserved to be in the tournament, and they've already won 2 games now, including the first 4. Well, they're up against the Mountaineer team right now that dealt with Morehead State and just wore them down. The glass, the rebounding, Deuce McBride, Derek Culver, these guys from West Virginia just really got it going on. And when you get past the coaching matchup between Bob Huggins and Jim Boeheim, which doesn't really get any better than this come tournament. Well, come anytime. But you got 2 Hall of Famers. And once you get past that, you look at the numbers. West Virginia is the better team. They're only 3.5 point chalk. All right. That's awfully low. And we're going to play it. We're going to take West Virginia. We're going to make that the lock of the day for today. West Virginia. Next up, Arkansas versus Texas Tech. The third-seeded Razorbacks are 1-point dogs to 6-seeded Texas Tech. The Red Raiders come in right now as a team that played in the last national championship and lost in overtime, which people forget. They beat Utah State in the first round, a good Utah State team. Mac McClung and Kyler Edwards led the way as Texas Tech really got it going on. And this is the ultimate battle of 2 teams that go the opposite direction. Texas Tech's going to slow the ball down, wear you down on defense, bang you physically, and Arkansas just wants to get out and run. Arkansas had their hands full with Colgate. They had a double-digit deficit that they had to overcome in the first half, and they did it with a 17-0 run to close out the first half. Then they found themselves down by 7 in the second half and rolled on to a relatively easy win once you look at it. But Arkansas, once they get going, they're really tough to stop. J.D. Note and Justin Smith are the super studs for Arkansas that gets that offense going. And we're going to take the Hogs. We're going to take the 1 point. And, if you don't want to do that, you can take them on the money line, get a little better odds. So Arkansas +1 is the play. Number 2-seeded Houston, 8.5 point favorites over 10th-seeded Rutgers. Rutgers is a fantastic story. They won for us the other day. They beat Clemson in the first round. Ron Harper Jr., yes, that Ron Harper, his son, is a ball player, is a serious ball player. He leads the way for a good Rutgers team, and Rutgers just, people forget how far this program has come from a couple years ago where they were just a complete mess, right? They're in the tournament right now. They're playing. They already got a win, over a good Clemson team. But or yeah, over a good Clemson team. But today, right now, man, I'm sorry, right? The way that Kelvin Sampson has Houston playing is just ridiculous. Quentin Grimes, Dejon Jarrett, um, they're they're loaded and they have blowout potential, right? They blow out a lot of teams they play. Granted, it was conference play and their conference wasn't really that deep this year, but an easy win over Cleveland State by 30 in the first round, right? This one is going to be more of the same. 8.5 point favorites. It's a big number. Everybody's going to fly on Rutgers because it's the second round now and games get tighter. Nope, not for Houston. Houston wins, bounces Rutgers, and moves on to the Sweet 16 easily. Next up, we've got 7th seeded Florida versus 15 seed Oral Roberts. Florida, the 7 seed Gators got in by beating Virginia Tech in the very first game back on Friday in overtime in a really good game where Virginia Tech hit a 3 with 1 second left to tie it and send it to overtime. But Florida took over the game in overtime behind Colin Castleton. And Florida is looking good, but the problem is they've been so unpredictable and so up and down all year that they're a tough team to back. And at 8.5, we're inclined to take Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts pulled off the upset of the tournament so far with the 2-15 upset when they knocked off Ohio State in overtime back on Friday. Yeah, Kevin O'Banner and Max Abrams, right? Or Abmas. These guys are really something else. And Oral Roberts doesn't turn the ball over. They're big, they're deep, and they shoot the hell out of the ball. And they don't turn the ball over. So Oral Roberts is the play today. We're going to take the 8.5. And who knows? If you want to take a flyer on the money line, go ahead. But we're a lot easier and luckier at taking the 8.5 and safer by taking the 8.5. Oral Roberts gets the cover. 5th seeded Villanova. The Wildcats take on the 13th seeded Mean Green from North Texas. And Nova's a 5.5 point favorite. Now, Nova is a team that's always good this time of year, right? They won a couple of national championships in the last 5-6 years, and they're back for more, right? They beat a very good and very game Winthrop team back in the first round, and Jeremiah Robinson Earl led the way as this Nova team seems to accept the fact that they're going to be playing without Colin Gillespie, their superstar, all-world, everything point guard. So, can they continue that? Probably, but at 5.5 points, we like the Mean Green today. They beat a Purdue team, which I had going pretty far in this tournament, and a very good Purdue team. And North Texas beat them with toughness down the stretch and defense. Their defense is no joke. They're physical. They get right in your face, and they get it going. They won 4 wins in 4 days to win the Conference USA tournament and get into the tournament. And these ball players they got right now are playing with all the confidence in the world. We're gonna roll with the Mean Green of North Texas. Take the 5.5. Next up, we're gonna go to the Battle of OSUs. Ohio State is gone, so one of the 3 OSU schools is gone. So the other 2 OSU schools are playing today. You've got 4th seeded Oklahoma State taking on 12th seeded Oregon State, right? Oklahoma State knocked off a good Liberty team. Liberty was game, and they played Oklahoma State as tough as they could. Cade Cunningham, super all-world everything for Oklahoma State, only had 1 point at halftime. He missed his first 5 shots. Now, granted, he finished with 15 points, but most of them came from the foul line. And he's going to be a superstar in the pros. He's got the total package, and he's going to be the deciding factor of the game today as Oklahoma State wins. But can they cover the 6 points against Oregon State? I say no. I like Oregon State, right? They did completely dismantle Tennessee in a game that Tennessee never led. Oregon State led from wire to wire. Silva and Lucas were the stars for Oregon State as they just continue to make waves because 2 weeks ago they weren't even on anybody's radar to make the tournament. Then they rolled out and won the Pac-12 tournament and continue to fly. They were a classic 12-5 upset. They took out a good 5 seed in Tennessee, and now they're aiming higher to take out a 4 seed in Oklahoma State. They may not take them out, but they're going to cover the 6. We like the Beavers. Take Oregon State. That's it for today. So now we move on to Monday's 8 games, and the end of the second round, if you will. So starting early Monday, we're going to go number 2 seed Iowa versus 7 seeded Oregon. This is a good matchup. I like this one a lot. Grand Canyon was the victim of Iowa. Iowa dealt with them, beat them up physically, and Luka Garza, as usual, led the way for Iowa. He scored 24 points, led the way. Joe Wieskamp is starting to pick up the pace as a good secondary option for Iowa. And Iowa has the ability to make a deep run and possibly win this whole thing. But as 4-point favorite today, we're going to take Oregon as the dogs. We like the dogs. We like Oregon. They didn't get a chance to play because of VCU had the COVID outbreak, so Oregon got a first round bye, if you will, and a walkover. So they move on to the second round without having to play against VCU, who is a good team. But Oregon is ready. Oregon is loaded. Granted, they lost in the Pac-12 tournament to Oregon State, but they're loaded and ready to go. Chris Duarte is all everything for the Ducks, and we like Oregon. We love Dana Altman. Dana Altman is a hell of a coach, and if anybody's going to keep this game close, it's going to be him. Duarte and Oregon get the cover at +4. Top seeded Gonzaga, top ranked Gonzaga, top everything Gonzaga, number 1. They're 14-point chalk against 8 seeded Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat Missouri, a good Missouri team, but Oklahoma did it with toughness, and Austin Reeves leading the way with 30 points. Oklahoma looks good, and Oklahoma seems to have got everything back together after that brutal 5-game losing streak down the stretch at the end of the Big 12 season. But they're just out of their element here. Gonzaga at one point was up by 50 last night against Norfolk State. And it was Anton Watson, the one guy who nobody really thinks of when they think of Gonzaga, because when you think of Gonzaga, you automatically think of Corey Kispert, you think of Jalen Suggs, you think of Drew Timme, you think of Joel Ayayi. These guys, they just keep coming at you. They're not the deepest team. They only run 7, maybe 8 players out there. But Gonzaga right now is playing on another level. And if that wasn't a statement win last night, then tomorrow will be a bigger statement because of a step up in competition. So Oklahoma, you had a good run, but your season's over. We're going to lay 14 points with the Zags. Watch them win by 20. And as the Zags move on to the Sweet 16 easily. Next up, we've got Ohio, another upset. They weren't the victim. Virginia was the victim of 13th seeded Ohio, and they're up. They're 5.5-point dogs to 5th seeded Creighton, who beat UC Santa Barbara. And although that was our lock of the day, we had Santa Barbara plus the points, and that turned out to be a winner. As Christian Bishop hit 2 free throws, clutch free throws down the stretch, right in the last few seconds to win the game and take out Santa Barbara, who had upset on their minds. But I give Creighton credit for that one, because Santa Barbara's a good team that that was their first loss of 2021, and Creighton showed a lot of gumption. But today we're going to take Ohio. We like the way the Bobcats are playing. They're 5.5-point dogs. In 2012 they made the Sweet 16, right? So it's not exactly foreign territory for them to pull off the upset and move on. Ben Vanderplas right now is playing on another level, right? And Ohio right now is our play. We're going to take Ohio plus the 5.5. Good matchup here. Number 1 seeded Michigan, a 5-point favorite over 8 seeded LSU. Michigan knocked off Texas Southern pretty easily. Mike Smith and big man Hunter Dickinson led the way for Juwan Howard's Wolverines, and Michigan is a trendy pick to go far, but without superstar Isaiah Livers, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, and it could come today because this LSU team is deep and loaded, and they've got Cam Thomas who can score when he wants, wherever he wants. He's an absolute superstar. Darius Days is turning into a good sidekick for Cam Thomas as LSU knocked off St. Bonaventure in round 1, a good St. Bonaventure team, and LSU beat them up pretty easily. So we're going to take the Tigers today at +5 against Michigan. They may not win, but they'll cover the 5 in what should be a really, really good game. I'm looking forward to that one. Not today. Sorry, that game's tomorrow. But yeah. Anyway, next up, we've got Florida State, 4th-seeded Seminoles are only 1-point favorite over... I'm drawing a blank here. Over 5th-seeded Colorado. There it is. I couldn't read my writing there. But Colorado, the number 5 seed, knocked off Georgetown and beat the hell out of them. Beat them up. That game was never in doubt. McKinley Wright, the 4th, is a matchup nightmare. Colorado, he scores wherever he wants for Colorado. But today, they're up against a Florida State team that has size, they have length, and MJ Walker's leading the way for a very, very dangerous team that can go far. NC Greensboro was the first victim from FSU, and although FSU kind of plodded along, they held off the upset bid, and Florida State won going away near the end. And this is our lock of the day for tomorrow. FSU -1 over Colorado. Next up, we've got 2nd-seeded Alabama. They're 6-point chalk over 10th-seeded Maryland. Maryland got in and knocked off UConn. We had UConn in the first round, but Maryland did it the right way. Eric Ayala and a stingy defense from Maryland made everything tougher on UConn, and Maryland came out on top in a very, very impressive win. But Monday, they're up against the Alabama team right now with Herb Jones and John Petty that beat Iona, and Rick Pitino's Iona team was game. They gave Bama their best shot, and they played them tough, and they played them hard as long as they could, but Bama's athleticism just wore down Iona as they ran away with that one, because Bama's offense is just so dynamic right now that we'll lay the 6 points. We'll take Alabama, as some people are calling Alabama the 5th number 1 seed, and that's very possible. So Alabama -6 over Maryland. Next up, UCLA, the 11th seed in the battle of double-digit seeds going at it. The 11th seeded Bruins are 4.5-point chalk over 14th seeded Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian did it late last night by beating Texas in very impressive fashion. This defense is so scrappy and so physical. It was a pleasure, even though I had Texas and I lost the bet. It was a pleasure watching Abilene Christian really for the first time play an entire game. I did see them in their conference tournament, but I didn't watch the whole game until last night. Wow, this defense is really, really impressive. Colton Cole leads the offense with only 13 points a game. It's a balanced offense, and they get it done with defense, and they get you to turn the ball over, period. 23 turnovers they forced against Texas. If UCLA is going to win, they're going to have to control that, and they won't be able to win if they turn the ball over 23 times. UCLA is coming off an impressive win two impressive wins over Michigan State in overtime in the first four, and then BYU last night. They're starting to get their legs under them. Johnny Juzang, Javier Jaquez, Jules Bernard, the Triple J's. Right now, they're playing with all the confidence in the world. Mick Cronin has them buying in. He has a very intricate offensive scheme where it's a different player each time up the court that comes and runs the screen roll off the top. And they're buying into his system. They're defending well. They're rebounding well. And even though they're not the biggest team, they have three guys that go 6'9", 6'10", that come in and they battle and they eat and they rebound. And that's exactly what they're going to need against Abilene Christian. So we like UCLA. We're going to lay the 4.5. And the Bruins get to the Sweet 16, believe it or not. Yes. Finally, the last play of round 2 is 6th-seeded USC versus 3rd-seeded Kansas. USC's a 1.5 point chalk, and they knocked off Drake in the first round fairly easily. All-world everything Evan Mobley, one of the top picks coming up in the draft, is a big man, right? He led the way, and he's going to continue to lead the way tomorrow against Kansas. But Kansas comes in. They beat a very good Eastern Washington team who can score, and they kept scoring, and they kept pace with Kansas until Kansas pulled away at the end. But David McCormick and Marcus Garrett for Kansas made that point moot as Kansas pulled away. So we like Kansas. I'm going to take the Jayhawks plus 1.5 against USC for all that great first round success that the Pac-12 had. Aside from UCLA, we've got USC losing, we've got Colorado losing, so we've got our share of losses coming, but we do have Oregon and UCLA winning in the second round. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the tournament pans out. But there's your 16 plays for today and tomorrow. Enjoy them. Bet them hard. Go big. Shout out really quick to my boy Captain Italia, the pride of Montera, California, right? The redneck from the beach, better known as Fredbo. Captain Italia, the Mike Tyson lover, who I still claim Mike Tyson is the most overrated boxer of all time, but that's another argument for another day. But anyway, Mike Tyson is going down. Tony Romo and everybody else from Italian descent, sorry, right? The only reason I'm saying this is to give this guy shit because sometimes they deserve it. So, Captain Italia, you the man, right? Thank you for everything last week when I was back home. You rock. And last up, just remember the 4 main credences that we give you. Number 1, there's money on the streets that can't be ignored. Number 2, if you want to win big, you got to bet big. Number 3, to me, the action is the juice. And finally, good luck to you.